The opposition to the XRP's Clarity Act just lost the police and the US Treasury in the same week. If you hold 2,500 XRP, that fight is all that stands between you and vote week. Grayscale just sent the Senate a signed letter demanding a floor vote before the recess. 4 national police organizations just signed their names to the Clarity Act, and I'll show you the $41.2 billion number that just landed behind Ripple. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want more XRP news. Let's roll the first tape. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We had the biggest tax fraud season ever. Trade deals, trade cuts, energy dominance, and deregulatory efforts. America is ushering in the greatest reshoring wave in history.
We had the biggest tax refund season ever. Trade deals, tax cuts, energy dominance, and deregulatory efforts. America is ushering in the greatest reshoring wave in our history. In June, our manufacturing sector expanded for the 6th straight month. We've got construction jobs, and those are going to lead into manufacturing jobs. We've got Main Street prosperity. Real wages are up $1,000. And sir, what you've done again too is the bottom 25% of wage earners, just like in your first term, are outperforming the top 25%. This is a working families administration. We had the biggest tax refund.
So you just heard Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary at the cabinet table, and the US Treasury's own account posted the tape. He credits on camera the digital assets policy from day one. So Washington is no longer arguing about whether digital assets belong, only about who signs the paperwork. And XRP's rulebook, the Clarity Act, is that paperwork. Across the last 48 hours, the push for its floor vote picked up names almost nobody expected. Hold on, the biggest one put its demand in writing. Grayscale Investments, the world's largest digital asset-focused investment platform, just sent a letter to the Senate requesting a floor vote on the Clarity Act before the August recess. Senators and staff across the aisle have spent months addressing hard questions about jurisdiction, investor protections, and developer safeguards. The framework that emerged protects investors, shields legitimate developers from overreach, and provides the certainty America deserves. After months of bipartisan work, industry is ready for clarity. We see Grayscale calling itself the world's largest digital asset-focused investment platform, and that letter is addressed to Thune and Schumer by name. I even read it twice. The ask sits at one printed line, a floor vote on the Clarity Act before the August recess. It is signed by Craig Salem, the chief legal officer. Money that size does not put a demand on paper unless it expects an answer. And while the biggest fund pushed from one side, American policing lined up from the other. The Fraternal Order of Police, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, Major Cities Chief Association have all endorsed the Clarity Act. The major county sheriffs of America have also publicly walked back their prior opposition to the bill after improvements were made. It's not clear why NSA is so radically out to step with the broader law enforcement community. And that was my favorite fight of the week. Patrick Witt, who runs the White House Digital Assets Council, lists them: the Fraternal Order of Police, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and the Major Cities Chief Association. All 4 endorsed the Clarity Act, the rules XRP finally gets to live under. The letter on the other side warns of significant law enforcement and public safety risks. Inside 2 days, 4 endorsements answered it. The crowd, betting on a safety panic, lost that argument, so the opposition went personal instead, and one senator answered that too. This is from Senator Cynthia Lummis. Big Bank Beth, Senator Warren hates President Trump so much that she'd rather have no rules for the road for digital asset industry, leaving consumers vulnerable and law enforcement empty-handed, than take the win for consumers. She claims the blind trust is a shell game. She claims Trump coin proves the president would create new coins, but Trump launched when President Trump was a private citizen. 3, she acts like Trump's adult children. Running WLF is some unprecedented dodge. Elizabeth Warren put out a fact sheet against the Clarity Act, and Senator Cynthia Lummis answered it point by point, statute numbers printed. Point 1, Warren calls the blind trust a shell game. Lummis answered it on your screen. A statute, a trustee is barred from disclosing trust holdings back to the official, and she prints the exact code section. 3 claims, 3 answers, and a link to the committee's own paperwork. That's not a mood. That is on the record. And in a minute, you'll hear the money men calling the ending. From Mike Novogratz, who's the CEO of Galaxy. Bipartisan ethics piece for the Clarity Act bill should ensure it passes. The White House has to accept it. They do, the small issues left with enforcement and conflicts need to be met in the middle immediately. This bill needs to be passed. Thanks to Ruben Gallego, Tom Tillis for bringing common sense to the ethics piece. Mike Novogratz runs Galaxy, says the bipartisan ethics piece should ensure the Clarity Act passes and that the White House has to accept it. His thanks goes to Gallego, Tillis by name. That's $1 billion manager treating Passage as the base case, and XRP is the asset with the most riding on it. Here is tonight's question. Does the Clarity Act get the floor vote before August recess? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Tap the like, subscribe, and notification bell while you're down there. And while Washington argued, the XRP Ledger took a live test. And I want you to hear what did not happen. A manifest flood hit the network on Friday, the day printed on the post. The official operations account, reposted by David Schwartz, reports the XRP Ledger continued closing ledgers normally throughout. The fix, version 3.2.1, is already out and the network never even paused. Washington is writing rules for a system that just took a hit and kept closing ledgers. There is the $41.2 billion number I promised you. Reporting in the last day says SBI Holdings, Ripple's long-term Japanese partner, reaffirmed a $41.2 billion exposure to Ripple. I am giving you that as reporting exactly as it crossed. The size of it deserves a second. $41.2 billion is a bank scale position, and the word in the reporting is reaffirmed, their position, which means unchanged. Before you settle on tonight's board, there's one voice left. The read from inside Coinbase as XRP's week turned. This is from Coinbase head of security, John D'Agostino. He says, relentlessly optimistic the Clarity Act will pass.
Bunch of folks on the policy side at Coinbase and other places who have worked tirelessly on this. I am relentlessly optimistic. I know we're getting down to the wire. I know that politicians and bankers and opponents are sending sort of rage-baiting tweets to try to rile everyone up. I understand all of this. I'm relentlessly optimistic for three reasons. One, as I mentioned, the smartest people I know, the most ethical people I know, are working tirelessly on this, and they're optimistic. And so I trust the experts in that way. And they're on the ground, they're talking to the right people. We're right. The messaging is the correct one. We are on the side of the correct innovative path, and eventually we do the right thing as a country. And then finally, I'm reminded that the Genius Act, although people remember it as kind of passing through easily, in reality, it was hard fought until the bitter end. So I am optimistic that what we're seeing in these last couple of days, all the sort of, silly hyperbolic tweets and the misinformation, I'm optimistic that those are the sort of desperate final throes of an opposition that realizes it's against history.
That is John D'Agostino, Coinbase's head of strategy, with the coldest read of the week. Relentlessly optimistic is his words. What we are watching, he says, are the desperate final thrones of an opposition that realizes it is against history. Now pull the live XRP chart up with me. The XRP price right now sits at $1.08, up around 2% across the past day. Green, while every one of these names landed. Your XRP news today, told in one line, the US Treasury on tape, and the Clarity Act's opposition running out of arguments. The full board, I read every page of it myself. Bessent credits digital assets as the cabinet table. Grayscale demands the floor vote before the recess. 4 national police organizations sign on. Lummis answers Warren with statute numbers on screen. Novogratz says the ethics deal should ensure passage. The XRP Ledger absorbs a manifest flood without missing a beat. And Japan reported $41 billion does not move. I'm going to watch the next 2 markers in the next week. A floor schedule line with the Clarity Act's name on it and the White House answer on the ethics piece. You hold 2,500 XRP tonight, and every heavyweight in this story is pushing in your direction. The sellers who blink this week will spend years explaining it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.